This is Stars and Scopes with your friend Uma, updated every new and full moon with guidance based on planetary transits in the current sky and extra support from tarot. For accuracy, take a look at your rising sign first if you know it, and do feel free to listen to your sun, moon and rising if you'd like the full picture. If you're interested in your birth chart, check out the readings page at umaruby.com, and if you'd like to support the work, head over to buymeacoffee.com/umaruby and you can buy me a coffee. Finally, if you're a visual learner, look up Uma Ruby Tarot on YouTube and you can watch and learn. Okay, let's take a look. Hello Virgo and Virgo rising. Welcome to your horoscope for the Solar Eclipse in Scorpio, happening on Tuesday the 25th of October at 9:49 p.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. So if you're in the Northern, it's the 26th of October. A little trigger warning, maybe. I've given every other sign the same trigger warning. We're going to be talking about grief and about loss. So if that's not something that you've got the brain space for at the moment, Virgo, it's completely fine. I won't be offended if you skip this one out. There's definitely some Scorpio energy in the air, isn't there? There's definitely some sort of those deeper emotions that actually have the potential to be moved, to be released a bit at this eclipse. Think about eclipse energy. We've spoken about it. It's the time of the year that the ancients were terrified of. They thought that it was a smite from the gods, you know. We know that that's not the case. However, in astrology, we do mark down the eclipses as moments to relinquish control and to allow the external forces of our lives, you know, whatever it is you believe in, you know, God, spirit, nature, Gaia, whatever language you like to use around our protectors, then leave it up to them at the eclipse, because they're going to be steering you in the right direction. The area of life that's really being highlighted for you at this eclipse in particular is your third house, and that's the village. That's your localized environment, and it's the way that you communicate. It's the way that you translate information. So this part of yourself, this sort of maybe position in, you know, the village, is the part of life that's going to be receiving this shake-up, this intervention. This the seeds were sown for this I want you to think about the middle of May, is when we had a lunar eclipse in Scorpio, and that was the catalyst. That was the first eclipse in Scorpio that we had for this season. We'd had a solar eclipse in Taurus in November of 2021, so that would have been affecting the other side of your chart. But as far as this third house power outage, this short circuit, it was 5-6 months ago, middle of May, I think May 15th. And so I want you to think about that part of your life and think about what was occurring for you, and maybe the way that you were translating what it is that you know, the way that you were trying to get the word out. Maybe you were being misheard. Could have been. The sun and the moon are in a conjunction. Solar eclipse is a new moon eclipse, right? So they're in a conjunction at 2 degrees in Scorpio. The tarot card for that is the 5 of Cups. This card talks all about grief and loss and mourning what it is that we no longer have, and really taking that moment to do so. I think it might be a really important part of the year, Virgo, to look back at what you've been through, what you've managed to achieve, and what you've had to say goodbye to over these last years. Scorpio energy is fixed, right? It's immovable in some ways. It's very cold, can be. It's also incredibly deep. And we all have Scorpio energy in our chart in some space. If you've got planets in Scorpio, which if you're of my generation, you'll have Pluto there. there's an extra emphasis on this. The generation that has Pluto in Scorpio is built for change. It's built for foundations crumbling. It's built for the old structures falling away. Pluto rules Scorpio as well. Pluto is that energy of the great transformer, of tipping it all down the sink, of destroying it, striking the match and starting again. When this energy is in your third house of the village, it might go to maybe paint a picture of the nomadic life, of not really putting down tent pegs somewhere for the long term. It could be that. It could be to do with a difficult relationship with your siblings, in your relationships with, when the third house, I think the third house includes siblings because of, Gemini's influence over the third. Think about that bitchy twin. Think about the two perspectives, the two-facedness, maybe of Gemini in a lower vibration. Siblings in harmony is beautiful. A family of siblings that care for one another and love one another very deeply is stunning. An eclipse to be happening here is going to be, I would keep my eye on my words and the way that I'm talking about it, and I would also keep my eye on my village, my environment, because that's going to go through a change, and it's going to go through another change in 6 months from now. So I think the next Scorpio eclipse will be next year, around May again. So this is the middle point. Everything that started in May is going to come up again now, and is then going to come to some sense of completion next year around May again. There's things to say goodbye to, Virgo, definitely. And see these 2 cups here? There's a lot to look forward to. We can grieve what's lost. We can grieve what's no longer with us. It's important that we do so. It's completely natural. What helps us is we remember what is left for us. I got the Magician, the 8 of Cups, and the Knight of Pentacles. The Magician is a major secret of the tarot. And the Magician sits inside all of us. The Magician knows how to work earth, water, fire, and air, and how to mix them together and alchemize them and create magic on earth. There's maybe a trickery to the Magician too in some ways, but I see that there's been some sort of whatever manifesting you've been doing, whatever spell work you've been doing, and that could be simply thinking about what it is that you would hope to happen, to hope to come to fruition. I can see that this is really paying off, Virgo. As delicate as you might want to be with the language, and I completely respect that. Not everybody's a witch. Not everybody casts spells. Not everybody manifests, You've been actively, I feel, working with expanding your awareness of your ability to activate your life in ways that is separate from, I guess, like a sort of physical, practical way. Virgos are very practical, very earthbound, very in need of the results. And that's essential for all of us, especially coming from my little Pisces soul, because I can doozy up the whipsy, get sucked up the drain pipe. we need your ability. Remember, hermit, absorb the messages from spirit and then alchemize and have them become real, have them become physical. So this is you. So 8 of Cups is a Piscean energy, and so your 7th house, there's a journey here. This soul is setting forth and walking away in order to bring back that 9th cup, because there's one missing. 8 cups is great. 8 cups is great, but there's one missing here. And they're on the journey, they're on the path to go and seek out that cup, that vessel for emotion, that offer of love. They're building here. And perhaps this magician energy is aiding that building. And the Knight of Cups bears with them a message of really tangible, practical effect. The Virgos would love the Knight of Pentacles, actually. The Knight of Pentacles is all about results. You can see that there's a field in the background there. It's been sown, or it's been ploughed, ready to be sown, ready to be tended to and grown. It's very slow moving energy is the Knight of Pentacles. So in some ways there's this offer of material worth, of reality that's taking a little time to show itself. But all the emotional work that you've been doing and all the emotional work that you've been going out to seek and coming into alignment with yourself in the way that you feel your emotions as well as your practical sense, you're really listening to your 7th house in terms of that access to water. And remember that your 7th house is Pisces, your 3rd house is Scorpio. So there is so much water in your chart, never to forget that, Virgo. I think that the turbulence of life lately and the toing and froing and the moving and shifting and the uprooting, the sort of difficulty that you may have been having in stabilizing and grounding, finding roots and being able to dig in and to start building from there, that's something to really allow those feelings to come up. You're in safe company at this solar eclipse. Remember, it's the angels. They're the ones moving everything up there. They're directing you in the right way. So let them do the work. Let them do the work in finding your village or ironing things out with your siblings or giving you the language that you need in order to fully articulate yourself and articulate your needs to the ones that you love. Perhaps your cat's had your tongue, you've been finding it difficult to find the words to say what you need. This is all working together, and this solar eclipse, this blackout, imagine someone pulling the light out from the socket or the power going out in the street and all of the lights going off. That's what an eclipse is. It's a moment of shock. It's like, oh, that happened. I wasn't expecting that. That was unexpected. That's what's happening at the eclipse. And an eclipse in Scorpio, in your 3rd house, has a lot to do with the village. It has a lot to do with your place in that village and how you communicate, what language you use, what ninth house is the 9th house is the stadium speaker. 3rd house is the megaphone. It's localized. And a solar eclipse in the localized environment might kick up enough dust in order for you to land in the 4th house, in the place that is perfect for you to start sowing some roots. But I would, at this eclipse, I would share some of how you're feeling with others. I would share in some of that grief and that fear as well. It's been a scary time, and you can be vulnerable. You can tell people that you love how frightened you've been, because they love you and they want to make you feel better. But you're not going to frighten them by telling them that you're frightened. It's okay. Being frightened is natural, especially when dealing with such change, as we all have been for many years now. That's your reading, Virgo. I love you. Head to umaruby.com and get your birth chart read. And I'll be speaking to you in 2 weeks for the lunar eclipse in Taurus. And so that one is going to be upending your 9th house, which is, remember, the amplifier. It's your house that expands your mind, that gives you greater language for spirituality and religious teaching and astrology and philosophy. You know, it's something, if both houses can learn and teach, the 9th is for the ages. The 3rd is for the village. I hope that makes sense. I'll be speaking to you in 2 weeks for that. I love you very much. You take care, Virgo. Bye.